Have you ever walked into your favorite health food store or nutrition center and been completely overwhelmed by the wall of product in front of you in the dietary supplement and vitamin aisle? How do you even know where to start? That's what we're talking about on today's episode. Hi, I'm Kristen Lascola, and I'm here again with Richard Hall. And today we're talking about that overwhelming feeling when you go into these health food stores or nutrition centers. Richard, I am like a health foodie. In my spare time, I like to go and just see what new product they have. But to be honest, there is an aisle that I do avoid because it's a little overwhelming, and that's the vitamin and supplement aisle. Because you know as well as I do, when you go down that aisle, all of a sudden you're confronted with not only just a million brands, but so many different types of the same exact thing. And I hate to say it, but sometimes I'm just kind of wanting to give up, instead of trying to look at all these different brands and types. And sometimes they'll even have a consultant in that aisle at certain stores.
Sure.
So can you maybe just point us in the right direction when we sort of feel like giving up, when we see that aisle, we were talking about on our last episode,
Right.
just that feeling of now what?
Sure.
Can you point us in the right direction there?
Yeah. So you know that feeling. You turn in that corner and whoa, 26 brands of vitamin C. Which one do I choose? $9.95 or $49.95? It's a big decision.
It is.
And I really believe that people need to do their homework. The number one thing I would say is don't buy the first time you go to the store. Write down some of the brands, and we said this on one of our last videos. Check it out, write it down, go home, look at the reviews, see the integrity of the company before you buy it. Because there are so many choices, you can get lost, and you can buy a product, take it, and think, well, that didn't do anything for me, and then never get any value out of it at all.
So, okay, you hit on a couple of things that as a consumer, I'm kind of like, well, what do you mean by that? So, of course, I take vitamin B12 because I'm on a plant-based diet, and when I go to Sprouts or a different store like that, there's so many options for B12. I don't even know where to start, right? So you said, check the integrity of the product. Well, as just a consumer walking into the grocery store, what do you mean by integrity of the product? What are some of the key things that I should be looking for when I research a particular brand?
Sure. On vitamin B12, give you an idea, vitamin B12 goes for something like $3,000 a kilo. So to go buy a vitamin B12 product that's $9.95 or $6.95, do you really think you're going to get a real vitamin B12 dose in there? Likely not. It's going to be somewhere in the mid-range or upper range. But in between prices, I have to say this. Remember that old car, the Yugo? Everybody bought one because they were cheap, very low price, but they also had a factor of breaking down. And after a while, it was useless. So they gave up on Yugo. I don't want you to go buy a Yugo when you go buy a vitamin or a supplement. So do your homework. Write down the brands, go home, look at the integrity of the company. But today, I'd like to tell you something a little different. I'd like you to look at the labels. The label's going to tell you a great amount of information. In fact, there are certain things the FDA says you have to have on a label to make it a legal label. The first thing you have to have on a label is a warning, an FDA warning sticker. Also, you have to have an allergen area to say, does this contain or was it made in a factory that had any things like peanuts and nuts for allergens? You also have to know the amount of capsules. That has to be on the very front of the bottle. On the back, it should say serving size, and it should tell you if you have to take 1 capsule or 2 capsules to get the effect that you're supposed to be taking. And then every ingredient on there is listed by the amount of the ingredient that's in the capsules. So say there's 5 ingredients. You're going to have the first ingredient is going to be the primary ingredient. Maybe there's 500 milligrams. The second one, 200 milligrams. What's very important here is that each of those ingredients, the FDA says you need to tell where it came from. What part of the plant that it came from? The root, the leaf, the berry. And
so
then,
that's going to actually say that on a label?
Oh, absolutely. They have to. This is a legal label now. So it also has to tell the potency. Was it a 5%? If it's an extract out of a root or a leaf, was it a 20%, a 10 to 1? all these are very important because this is how it's going to affect you when you consume it.
So what are we looking for with those numbers? So, okay, it came from the root, it came from a leaf, it came from a berry. Is there something in particular that we are looking for? Or are we just looking to make sure that the information is there to give this particular company legitimacy and making sure that they're following the guidelines for supplement companies?
Well, I think this takes a little bit of time. You need to investigate it. But here's something you can do. Every bottle must have the wholesale, the manufacturer or distributor's phone number on it. You should be able to call them and get more information. And they should also have their website number on there. So it makes it very easy. If it doesn't have any of those, please don't buy it. It's not a product of integrity. And by the way, herbs, you don't know when and how long they've had that herb or that ingredient on the shelf in a can. They may have it for years before they manufacture the product. So it goes to the integrity of the company. How long has that company been in business? What's their reputation? I think those are two very important things for me as a shopper.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a lot more complex than just walking in and pulling something off the shelf. There's some homework we need to do of who are we buying this stuff from and are they following the correct guidelines. So we're going to talk a lot more about that in some episodes coming up. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe and we'll catch you on our next episode.